Slap me in the face with tropes.
Life Lessons with Kay. This is our podcast today.
Cuphead and Mugman.
Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Reading Queens. We are here to talk about our recent romantic fantasy reads. I'm just going to start saying this right away so that it's not like a reveal because there's a title to this episode. So what's the point? But anyway, hi, I'm Valia.
Hello, I'm Kay.
And I'm Tess.
And we are here to chat about books. So that's what we're going to do. Actually, first, we're going to talk about Halloween because that just passed. And
oh, yes.
Kay, take it away. Tell us about Halloween.
Okay, yes. Valia's excited for me to talk about this because she knows I do one cool mom thing, okay? Like, I don't make cakes for my kids' birthdays. We buy them, okay? They're still good, you know? I don't have cute decoration. I don't do anything cool, okay? It's fine. We have joys in other ways, but I don't do the cool mom things that a lot of moms do. But the one cool mom thing that I do is I make my kids Halloween costumes.
Yeah, you do.
And they are legit. They look so good. Okay, so my oldest son, he was Captain Jack Sparrow. And I even went so far as to, like, age the shirt that he wore. I had to, like, rub dirt in it and, like, scrub it against the cement, give it that, like, soft aged look. And I did sew it. Okay, you guys, I'm sure my mother, who paid for my sewing lessons as a child, is very happy to know that I don't use my sewing skills at all except to make my kids Halloween costumes. Anyway, but they looked amazing. So my oldest was Captain Jack Sparrow, and then my next two were Cuphead and Mugman. Look it up if you don't know, because I'm not going to explain it. It's from a video game, and there's also a show, apparently. And then my youngest, he wore a store-bought costume of the Red Power Ranger, and I was very sad that he wouldn't let me make something, but he saw the costume, and he was very attached to it, and I was like, you know what? Halloween's about, you know, you get to do what you want to do, you get to be who you want to be, so yeah, he got to wear the Red Power Ranger costume. But I think next year he'll want me to make his costume because he, I think, felt a little bit left out that I spent so much time on his brother's costumes, and I think he was kind of like, yeah, okay, I think I want Mom to make mine next year, so.
That's so cute. They looked so good. They really did. I loved it.
It was a lot of fun. I always have a lot of fun trying to, like, figure out. I'm very specific about getting the details right, and then I'm always like, is the weight, you know, like Cuphead and Mugman have these shorts, and I was, like, very specific about the fabric that I had to use for the shorts so that the weight would be right, and, like, the pants underneath so that it would look right. Anyway.
That's cute. That's so cute. I love it. You get a special prize for that as a mom. Most people don't make Halloween costumes. They're just like, here's a bought one.
Yes. Well, that's just your lesson for life, that, you know, you don't have to do every cool thing, you know? Just have one cool thing and it makes up for all the other things you don't do.
There you go. Life Lessons with Kay. This is our podcast today. No, that's really cool. Tess, what'd you do for Halloween?
Okay, so first of all, Halloween was my birthday, and, like, everyone's always like, oh my gosh, that's so exciting that you have a Halloween birthday. You must have so much fun. I'm like, not now that I'm pretty sure I'm 39. I'm like, but when I was younger, yes, Halloween birthday was really fun. In fact, I used to think that everyone was dressing up for my birthday and that everyone dressed up for their own birthday. So when I saw people in costumes, like, oh, they're dressing up for my birthday. And I'd ask people, I was like, oh, what are you going to be for your birthday? Like, that was so just cute. What I did not understand that's like, it did not make sense to me. And when I found out, I was like, oh, like, I was so shocked. I was like, wait a minute. We don't do this for, like, everyone's birthday, and you guys aren't just doing this for me.
That's so adorable. That's the cutest thing.
But now that I'm older, it's not quite as fun just because I don't party, I don't do things, I like to do nothing or eat food. But I did dress up, and this was the first year I've dressed up in a really, really long time. I feel like I might have already talked about this on like a million podcast episodes ago because I've been planning this for like 6 months. But I am obsessed with Demon Slayer, and so is my daughter, as I've probably mentioned a million times, but we dressed up as characters from Demon Slayer. I was Shinobu, my daughter was Nezuko, and my husband was Giyu. So if any of you are anime or manga nerds out there, y'all know what I'm talking about. But we got like really cool costumes. I did not make them. I thought about it. I had it all planned. I was like, okay, this is how I can make them. It's not going to be like super hard. But then I found some really high quality ones that I could just buy. And I'm like, yes, I will just let someone else make them and I will purchase them from you.
Well, sometimes it is better to buy, you know? It's like sometimes it's better than you could make on your own anyway.
I could definitely not make it as nice as these ones are. Like, these ones were really nice and they were really comfortable. And I was like, I would have, like, my effort would have been about 10% of what I have here. So we did that, and we actually didn't wear them on Halloween. We wore them before, because on Halloween we just had dinner because it was my birthday. I hijacked that holiday. But it was really fun. I really like dressing up, and so now I'm already like, okay, what, like, maybe we can do a handmade one next year, and like what characters could we be? And like I'm already thinking it would be really fun to be Spy Family.
Cute.
Because we've got like the trio that could totally do it. Except for by next year, my daughter might be taller than me. But either way, she could still be Anya.
That's exciting.
Like, oh, and my husband was joking that I would be Anya, which is like a 6-year-old character. By the time my daughter's like taller than me. I'm like, no, I want to be yours. She's this cool assassin mother. But,
that's funny.
yeah, that's my Halloween. It was fun.
Hey, you know what? I have to say, this really bothers me in TV shows and stuff. They always, always, always cast teenagers that are shorter than the adults. It's like, they're so careful to do that. And I'm like,
it's not realistic.
Teenagers are very often taller than the adults in their life, okay? Like, I know this because I'm like, I stopped growing when I was in 9th grade, okay? And this is not, that's not uncommon timeline for a lot of girls. Like, girls don't continue growing. Guys continue growing through, like, until they're 20-ish, you know, but like a lot of girls stop growing way before that. They always have the teenage girl shorter than her mom, and I'm like, this is not realistic. I mean, okay, I was shorter than my mom in high school, but I'm also shorter than like everybody I know, so.
It's true though, because like I'll go to church and the teen group would like be walking by me and I'm just like looking up at all these people who are like, I'm like, even girls, it's not just boys, they're like all just taller nowadays.
This happens to me at elementary school. My daughter's one of her best friends is taller than me. She's taller than me by a few inches, and I'm like, how did this happen?
Cute.
Yeah, they're in 5th grade. Like they're not. But I did stop growing in 6th grade, so it's very possible that they're already catching up to me. So, well, I'm really curious to see where my daughter will end up.
Yeah.
She's probably going to be at least a little taller than me, because I'm a little taller than my mom. My mom is only 4'11" or 4'10", and I made it all the way up to 5 foot. You guys.
Oh yeah,
go to us.
So proud.
I love it.
That's cute. So do you guys not go trick-or-treating then? Because it's your birthday? Like you just hijack the whole thing?
So I did when my daughter was younger, but she doesn't love trick-or-treating. Like, she'll go, I think, if she has, like, friends that are going, but she already had, like, her friend thing over the weekend. We did some big fun thing at her school. But she's not a big fan of trick-or-treating. She thinks it's weird going to random people's houses.
Yeah, same.
Which is so funny, because she's still in, like, an age where that should be fun, but she's, like, not that into it. As long as she gets candy at some point, which she did at the school event, then she's happy. So, yeah, she didn't even want to go trick-or-treating.
That makes sense, though. I think especially as, like, not having brothers and sisters, I think the brothers and sisters, you know, if you're going with people, that automatically takes some of that anxiety away.
It's a lot more fun with a group, and that's,
Yeah.
I've never been trick-or-treating, and people are like,
Never?
oh my goodness, you've missed out. I'm like, I'm okay.
Well, that makes sense, because you didn't live in the U.S. till you were 12, right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of the age when people stop. I think if you had grown up here, it wouldn't seem so weird, you know? It's just
I
like
guess
everybody
maybe,
does it, you know?
Yeah, like I can't picture myself like if Halloween was a thing in Russia, like I can't picture myself going to apartments like that.
Yeah.
It's just so weird. I'm like, I might die. No, I'm just kidding.
like, hi, random stranger, can I have candy? It is a weird concept,
really
honestly.
is.
Well, I mean, you only go to the houses that have their lights on, so if somebody doesn't want you,
no,
you know, you
not
just
in my
don't.
neighborhood. These people are literally banging, like our lights were off, right? Because we got to a point where like we're gonna turn our lights off.
You're just gonna hide.
We did, and because like we didn't have candy, and we were like done for the day. These people were like knocking on the door and ringing the doorbell, and we have a ring, right? And so they're like, oh, they have lights in there. The only lights that were on are my grow lights for my plant. They were purple, and like all the way inside the house, so you barely could even see it.
Oh
like,
my
what
gosh,
is
they
with
wanted
these
that
people?
candy. They wanted that one piece of fun-sized candy that they
Apparently.
expect.
That
I
is
was
so
like,
funny.
This is aggressive.
We do not have people like that where I live. In fact, we hardly got any trick-or-treaters at all. Like, we live in a neighborhood with a lot of families, and I'm very surprised that we had as few as we had. I'm like, maybe I gotta put up Halloween decorations or something so people know it's like safe to come to our house. I don't know.
Yeah, that's funny. We have a lot of kids in our neighborhood, and like a bunch of houses. Pretty much the whole neighborhood goes all out, and they've had Halloween decorations and everything. So I'm like, there's plenty other houses that actually look inviting for you to go get candy.
That's so funny.
But yeah, it was great. Anyway, that's all I did for Halloween is hide. But
Nice.
yeah, let's talk about some books. So we are gonna go around the room, quote unquote, as I always say, and we're gonna talk about the books that we read for this topic, because this is like our topic: romance, fantasy. This is where we live. But Kay's gonna start us off with her book.
Okay, so I just want to say it's romantic fantasy, not fantasy romance, as in romance is not the main plot of this book. I'll just say that. It definitely has romance, so it's all good. Okay, the book that I read is The Gilded Ones by Namina Forna, and this was amazing. It was definitely one of my favorite books that I've read so far this year. It's interesting because sometimes after I finish reading a book, I like going to Goodreads and reading all the 5-star reviews. Like, I actually do this sometimes with books that I didn't like even, or that I medium liked. I'll go and just find the reviews for whatever star I personally rated it, and then I just go read those. And I'm like, I need to find
the validation.
Yes, I'm like, I need
Same.
other people who have my same opinion, you know? So I was actually surprised to see that there were not as many people who agreed with me as I expected. I'll just put it that way. Anyway, I just thought it was really interesting. I just love that every book is so personal to the person who reads it. And this book was really just it. This book was my jam, man. It had everything that I liked. So I was like really excited about it. And if you like it, then you're awesome. But if you don't like it, you're still awesome also, is my point. Anyway, but I loved it. I thought it was awesome. So the main theme of this book is feminism, right? Smashing the patriarchy, basically. And I'll be honest, a lot of books with this theme I actually am not a huge fan of, even though I am all about equality and women having equality. I just feel like a lot of times when feminism is the theme, you get a lot of women being treated horribly, right? And I'm like, how about we show people how to do things the right way instead of always constantly showing people how they've been done the wrong way, right? And of course, this book does definitely have a lot of the wrong way. But I also felt like it balanced it really well with a lot of the right way, and I really appreciated that. There is so much sisterhood and like women helping women, and I just loved it. Oh, I just loved it so much. So there's this mentor who, Deka, our main character. I guess maybe I should have started talking about the main character first. Deka is the main character. Anyway, she has this mentor who she nicknames White Hands because she wears these white gloves all the time. And then she has this best friend, Britta, and they're just so awesome. They like help each other out, and I just love it. It's so awesome. So basically, I guess I should talk about, what actually happens in the books. So these women, they have gold blood, and if they have gold blood, then the men think that they're evil and they try to kill them. But the problem is that the gold blood makes it so that they can come back to life from being killed. So they all have like this one death that's their true death, and if they're killed in that one specific way, then they'll die for real. but like any other way that you try to kill them, they'll just come back to life. It's awesome.
That's cool.
So these girls, they have this gold blood, and they'll like lock them in a basement, and they'll like, you know, cut off their head and slice out their heart and like all these, drown them, all these things, and they just keep coming back to life. Anyway, then they get rescued from that, luckily. Actually, it really doesn't take very long for them to get rescued either, which is
so you're saying it's not too traumatic.
Yeah. You know what, everybody's different, so it might be really traumatic for some people. For me, I felt like it happened on a really good timeline, that it's like they had it just enough so that you know what happened, but then they took her out of that situation. They took Decca out of that situation very quickly and let her move on to the empowerment phase of throughout the whole rest of the book, she's just coming into her own and like recognizing that this power is not to be feared, that she is powerful in her own way, and it's incredible. And they are taken to be part of this army for the king, and it's kind of an interesting dynamic because everybody else in their kingdom basically fears them, but the king's like, no, we got to win this war, so yeah, you guys are on my side. But they all kind of know that, like, well, one day this war is going to end. We're going to win this war for you, and then what are you going to do with us then? You know, that it's like, you're only on our side because we're useful to you now, but once we're not, we're still going to be these powerful beings, and then you're going to fear us, you know? So they kind of know that, even though it's well, it is, I was going to say it's unspoken. It is spoken, it's just not spoken by the king, I guess. But it's spoken by the women leaders who are teaching them. So a lot of sisterhood, a lot of the mentor is amazing. There is an awesome romance also. I thought the romance was so sweet. And one thing that it did, I'm going to be careful to not say too much about this because I don't want to give away spoilers. But one thing that I really love that happens in romance stories is sometimes you'll have something happen at the beginning of the book that shows how wrong a certain relationship is, or how wrong a certain situation is for the heroine, right? For the main character. And then later in the book, you show that it has like the love interest being in that same situation, but not doing it wrong, doing it the right way, you know, doing it the right way for the main character. And it has that, and it's just so beautiful. I was like, yes, he's so good for her. And anyway, he really watches out for her and like wants the best thing for her, and he stands up for her against people who do not have her best interests at heart, and also just for people who don't understand her power and don't respect her power, you know, who are afraid of her. He really has her back in those situations. So it's an awesome romance. It's an awesome book. And also I remember at the beginning, earlier in the year, I was on a podcast episode where we talked about like 5 reads we're excited to read this year or something like that. Mm-hmm. You know, obviously I know this right off the top of my head. But anyway, one of the things I said about it was just how beautiful the cover is, and it really is. It has Decca on the front cover, the main character, and she's wearing this like golden dress and all these things, and then there's like this green background and it's all shimmery. I don't know what it is, man. It's just really pretty, and I'm usually
it is a pretty
cover. I'm usually more of like a symbol cover kind of person.
That's true. I didn't know that.
But this is a person cover that like I just thought was really beautiful. So, and it definitely matches the book inside.
Ooh, I love it. That never happens. I'm just kidding. Just in my recent experience.
Well, I also really liked Fable, so another person cover that won me over.
Yeah, that has like the OG person cover vibes though for YA, where it was like a super close-up face, you know, where it was like half a face or whatever. So I like that one too. Well, I guess I'll have to move up the Gilded Ones. It is on my TBR. It's been on my TBR since it came out because I like the cover.
Yeah.
But I just haven't picked it up, but I love when people talk about books that they loved. It just makes me want to read them. Anyway, Tess, talk about your book now.
Okay, well, one of my recent romantic fantasy, and this one does tend a little more toward the fantasy romance, where the romance is a lot more of the main plot than the fantasy plot. I read These Hollow Vows by Lexi Ryan, and this one it's a very tropey fae stories. So if you've read fae books, like The Cruel Prince, A Court of Thorns and Roses, a bunch of ones like that, this one like really fits right in there. I know I saw some people criticizing it because it was so much like that. I read it and I didn't think it was like, I saw some people saying like, oh, this is a ripoff of A Court of Thorns and Roses, and I read it, I'm like, I don't think it's a ripoff. I think it just has fae, and it has tropes that are in a lot of young adult fantasy books, like she has to go to fairy to save her sister. Saving the sister is a really common trope. It has that. She has to save her sweet sister, like entering bargains, lies, secrets, betrayal. It has all that, and I loved it. And this is like not one of those books that you read because you want something to completely turn the genre on its head and give you something brand new. This is one of those reads where you're like, I really want a book that makes me feel like The Cruel Prince made me feel. And it's going to make you feel that way. It's going to have a lot of those same tropes. It's going to have a lot of angst. It has it does have a love triangle, I will say, which I don't always love triangles. I didn't mind this one, I guess, because I wasn't like, I feel like I was on... it's hard to say things without spoiling it, but it wasn't one of those ones where like I'm super attached to like one love interest like throughout the whole thing. I kind of changed my mind between the like characters, and I feel like I went on the journey about how I felt about the love interest that the author wanted me to go on, even if it might not be the same journey the main character's going on. I can't say if I'm 100% right about that until I finish the second book, because I believe this is a duology, and so it should give me the conclusion. But I'm pretty sure I know which one is like the real love interest. So I'm pretty sure that I'm feeling about these love interests the way the author wants me to, even if maybe the main character's acting in ways where I'm like, girl, don't. But anyways, it's like, okay, so this book has like unseelie versus seelie courts. It has political intrigue. The only thing that I will say that I was just a little bit disappointed, and it wasn't so much disappointed, is that I just got really excited when I saw that there was going to be what seemed like a bridal competition. There's this part pretty early on in the book
like
where
The Bachelor.
Forced to go to the... Yeah, like The Bachelor. And so the main character, which like I haven't even said any of these people's names, her name is Bree. The main character is Bree, and she's forced to go to Fairy to save her sister. And then the way she does this is she's going to infiltrate the fairy court, and because one of the fairy princes is like looking for a bride, and it gives you some really strong Cinderella vibes at the beginning, which was pretty fun. I will say it doesn't really take on, like, I thought it was maybe a Cinderella retelling at first, like maybe, but it
is for like the first 25%, and then it's like,
yes,
not anymore.
Yes, and then it completely goes away from that. But I tend to really like the Bachelor trope. But after I started reading it, it actually does not go, if you're a fan of the Bachelor trope, it's not going to deliver that. You don't actually end up meeting any of the girls. She doesn't end up having any like pageantry. It's not going to do the same things that books like The Selection did, where like she's meeting these girls, there's maybe some catty girls and some drama, and then maybe one of them
the
becomes her
opposite
friend. You
of
don't
sisterhood, if I do say so myself.
But it doesn't do any of that. You do know that there are girls. She is jealous that there are girls in the castle. There is a scene that kind of tugs on that a little bit more, I will say. But it's not, like, if you're looking for that trope, this book will not deliver that trope. Which is probably why no one has ever mentioned this as being that trope. But once I was reading, I was like, oh, this is also going to be like the Bachelor trope. It was not. But everything else was so on point for, love triangles. There's the dark-haired love interest who's a little more broody, and then the sweeter light-haired love interest. So it's like, again, this is not delivering anything that's going to be groundbreaking. This is that where you're like, yes, this is what I've read before, and I freaking love it, and I love seeing it done again in a different way. That's what this is. So I was like, oh yes, I've seen this before, and I'm here for it. And this was it was super bingey. I will say that the ends of these chapters, Lexi Ryan knows how to end a chapter to make you want to read the next chapter. They're really good like that, where I was like, oh wait, okay, well, I'm only going to read one chapter. I'm like, you know what, I'm going to read 10 chapters. Like, maybe I'm going to read 200 pages today. I don't know. because I have mentioned on the podcast before that I'm not really like a binge reader in terms of series. Like I'll read one book and be like, okay, that was great. Can't wait to read the next one, but I'm going to read a book one of a different book now. I love to bounce around because I want to I want to taste all the books. I don't want to just be stuck in one world, but I really loved this one enough that I started reading the second one. I'm still reading it. I'm not reading the second one as fast. Just because this kind of happens. I read a book really fast and then I slow down right afterward. I'm like, I overexerted my reading. But anyways, I don't know. I'm probably not even explaining this book that well, but I really liked it. It hit all those spots for a good like love triangle-y, some enemies to lover, some lies and betrayals and secrets. Like if you're looking for that angst and those nice tropey fae story vibes, this one's great. I loved it.
Perfect.
I felt like it has such a good first chapter too. You know, as a writer especially, I think
it is a good
chapter. I think as writers especially, we really like recognize how good first chapters are when they're really, really good. And that one, I read it and I was like, ooh. She really got me hooked on that, you know?
It has some, because she's a thief and she has she's a really good thief, and that's what the first scene is. You get some action of her like sneaking around and doing a heist thing, and you're like, this is pretty cool. And I do like, I don't know, this might be a spoiler. I don't think it's a spoiler. I'm gonna say it anyways. But that her being a thief ends up tying in a little bit later to like certain magic things, and you're like, oh cool, like that wasn't just like a characteristic to make her seem cool and awesome. It was like, oh, this actually ties in with something else in the story. That's all I'll say. But I thought that was cool, because I mean, if you just want to make a character seem cool and awesome, I'm like, great, deliver it. But when it actually ties in and makes sense to something else, like, oh okay, nice. Thanks for that.
Yeah, it tickles that part of our writer brain where we're just like, ooh, this was cool to see.
Yeah.
Also, I feel like I'm going to just write a book where every single love interest is going to be blonde. Just to mess with people.
Just as a, what am I trying to say, a protest?
Yes. I'm like, why is it always the two? No, I'm just kidding. I love that. I need to read that too. I have both of those books actually, now that I think about it. Why am I so bad at reading, you guys? This is what we find out with this podcast. Every time you talk about a book, I'm like, ooh, I have that. Still haven't read it.
Just buying the book and holding it gives you energy as a reader still, okay?
It does, okay? It's like magic artifacts, okay? It refuels my reading and writing mojo. I don't know. That's cool, though. I love, sometimes you just need a tropey read. Like, you just do.
Yeah. I needed that when I read it. I was like, I want something tropey. I want something that's not trying to surprise me or be different, okay? Yeah. I right before that, I read a book that was just not really delivering on any tropes. It had 0 tropes. And I'm like, give me a trope, especially a romance trope. Slap me in the face with tropes. And this one did. And I'm so happy that I read it.
Yeah, it makes it feel like, you know how people reread books because they like comfort, find comfort, whatever. I like tropey books like that as that like palate cleanser comfort book, because it's a new book but it gives you like the same feels. So like me, I will just read another hockey romance and be like, I love hockey romance, let me just read another thing that's exactly the same but written by a different person, Anyway, that's not what I'm talking about.
There's nothing wrong with books like that.
No. That's what they're out there, right? So no, I love it. I'm not talking about hockey romance for my book. I'm talking about The Stars Between Us by Kristen Terrell, I think. I've never read anything by her before. I do remember her debut book because it changed covers a couple of times, like after publication, I'm almost positive. So I just remember seeing it everywhere, but I never read it. It was a standalone. So this is also a standalone. And it just came out in August, and I read like the first 20% as an ARC, like an ebook, and then I read the rest of it as an audiobook. And if you're going to read this book, I highly suggest the audiobook. Because the beginning of the book is very, I'm going to say boring. It was boring to me.
I'm just going to go straight out and
I'm just going to say it. I almost DNF'd it. And it wasn't that, I think, okay, so you know how you guys were talking about how, okay, your book is like, doesn't focus on romance, it's like a fantasy or whatever. And then Tess, yours was like the opposite, where it's like whatever. So this book was both of those things in the same book because it's a standalone. So the whole first part, it was just like, it had nothing to do with romance. It really just focused on the main character, whose name is Vika, and she is the most annoying person I have ever read about. Like, she she is the worst, okay? But
I love that this is your recommended.
I know. It gave me all the like the array of emotions reading it, okay? And I think that's what a good book does. But anyway, so basically her story is that her and her family used to be like on the good planet. There's like a planet that has prestige and stuff like that, and that's where she lived. And then her father had like a huge falling out or something like that happened. So now they're on this other planet where it's basically just like, I would say like factory workers and all that kind of stuff, where
lower class.
It's like lower class. Yes, exactly. So she lives there now. She works at this bar. Her sister works. They live in this like tiny little house or room, whatever, that they have to share. And then she has always just wanted to be like, have a grand life, right? And she acts like she has a grand life, as like she's just very obnoxious about basically everything. She feels like she is entitled to anything and everything, and I'm okay with that usually, but in this fact, like, she's working, right? So like it's okay to be entitled, but even though she's working, she still like does the absolute bare minimum and then like wants to be higher than she is, and it's like it's not earned for her to act that way, if that makes sense. She just is that way, and I'm like, oh, can I slap you? But anyway, so that's like the beginning chapters. But then you find out that she's had this benefactor her whole life, and like back when they were on the other planet, like she would get like lessons and stuff like that, and she finds out that it's like this billionaire person that's the benefactor, and he has died, so he has included her in his will. So now she goes to the other planet, and she's just like, oh my goodness. And this is the part that drove me insane. She goes to this other planet, and she 100% never thinks about her family. Like, she just left them poor and alone on this planet. And she just like goes off to this other planet and is like, look at these dresses. Oh my goodness, I finally look like I'm supposed to. And like never thinks about her family. Anyway, this happens really early on, so I'm not spoiling anything. But then...
Does her family treat her badly or anything?
Nope. Her dad loves her so hard. Like, so much. Like, her relationship with her dad, I mean, it gets better during the book and stuff like that. Like, she realizes just how much he actually loves her and stuff like that. But I was like, dude, at least help your father. He's, like, slaving away. Anyway, sorry. I'm just going to, like, rant about this book. I mean, it's a good read, okay? Anyway, so then she's, like, living in this high society on this planet. I keep wanting to say island, but it's a planet. And there's a guy that she like constantly clashes with. He works for the people who actually inherited the whole estate, the whole billions. They were like a butler and a cook or something like that, like a couple. So he left everything to them, and then he also gave Vika money. But anyway, so they like have taken her in and be like, we'll introduce you to the society, blah, blah, blah. So then the other guy that works there, they clash together, and it's this whole thing. And then people like around her start, she basically, there's like a couple explosions that happen, or one or two explosions that happen where she's at and where the other heirs are at. So now she thinks, oh, like somebody's trying to kill off everybody basically. And so then she has to team up with this dude that's been like bugging her for them to figure out who's trying to kill her.
And then they accidentally fall in love, I'm assuming.
And then they accidentally fell in love because this is a romantic fantasy. It's funny because the genre itself is like almost sci-fi at times, and then like super fantasy other times. Like, I couldn't really figure out. I think it's supposed to be sci-fi more than like standard fantasy, quote unquote. But it's definitely, the second half of the book is definitely way more like rom-com than, even though they're like trying to figure out who's trying to kill her, it's still way more rom-com-y than the beginning book where it's like just her being super incredibly annoying. But what I really liked about this book, I really like the setting. I love the whole planets and like seeing the different sides of like this world with the poor and the rich and stuff like that. And it's like the writing is really good. And I also really enjoyed the fact that the main character, she had like a growth that she went through. She didn't stay the same. She stayed the same in terms of, you know how like when you grow as a character, they're like completely change themselves. Like she didn't. She still had those ideals of like, I want a better life, blah blah blah, but she became better as a person. And so even though she still had those tendencies of being like selfish and stuff like that, she was just like, oh, I'm selfish, but I'm also going to help somebody else. Like I'm going to take care of myself, but I'm also going to take care of my family, or you know what I mean? So it was like,
yeah, I think that's cool, because I think every trait can be like good or bad, you know, if you take it too far in either direction. So that's cool that it's like she still has that same trait. It's just now she's using the good part of it instead of that.
Yes. And I like that because I feel sometimes like I will read a book where a character grows, you know, like goes through growth, and they're like a completely different person, and it's been like a week, and I'm like, well, that's not how it works. I get it, but in this one it was like believable. Like she was a believable person in the sense that, like, who's to say that I wouldn't be the same? You know what I mean? Like it kind of one of those. And it was very like approachable, like story in that sense, that even though it was like a fantastical multiple planets, blah blah blah, it was like, oh okay, like I can relate to this character, and that's what I liked. And so it wasn't like my absolute, oh my goodness, this is the best book ever, but it gave me like, I went through the stages of emotions during the whole thing, and I'm like, okay, that's a good book, you know, because like it made me feel, it made me think, it made me annoyed. We're good.
It did all the things.
But definitely the audiobook was very, very well done. Like I really enjoyed the narrator. I cannot remember who it is, but she did a really good job with it, and like really helped me get into past that, like, I think I'm just gonna like stop reading, because she got like excited about the way she was reading the book. Okay. And then the last like half of the book I was like, oh, okay, yeah, this is what I'm here for, kind of thing. So anyway, if you want to check it out, it's a standalone, so woohoo, that's your thing.
It reminds me, the way you're describing the character kind of reminds me of like the character journey of Alexis from Schitt's Creek / the main character of what's that Tessa Bailey book? It Happened One Summer, who's like basically
Piper.
the same character.
Okay, yeah, so Vika was more annoying than Piper. I will have to say that.
That's like painful to hear,
maybe
because
just more annoying to you,
pretty annoying.
I mean, maybe her personality trait just happens to be something that like is opposite of you,
great,
so it bugs you more or something. Yeah.
Exactly.
I could totally see that.
Yeah, it's definitely not my personality.
You're a very family-centric person, so having someone be like so terrible to their family, like that is a Valia no.
Yeah,
exactly. You know what? That's
so
probably
if you hate
it.
your family, then maybe you'll like this one. No, I'm just kidding.
There you go. Perfect. No. Yeah, I guess that is true. Especially because her dad is just like, oh, he just loves her so much. And I'm like, girl, you don't even know how lucky you are, you jerk. For like the whole... Anyway, I'm done now. I'm done with my half a rant, half a book summary. But yeah, so those are our books. If you guys have read any of these, let us know, because clearly we have a lot to say about all of them, which I love how different we were all about our books. Like, Kay started off really strong with the love, and then Tess had the other side of the love because it was more romance than the other one, and then me, I'm just like, I'm half and half. But yeah, so let us know if you read any of these. Talk to us about them. Kay, what are you reading next?
Still working on, what's it called? This Woven Kingdom. Well, I actually did start it, and then I just set it aside for a little while, so I'll be going back to it next.
Ooh, that one
which
sounds
I'm
good.
pretty sure is the same one I said last time.
I think so, but it's okay.
I did read other books in between, okay?
Yes, exactly. Tess, what are you reading next?
I am reading I'm halfway through the sequel to These Hollow Vows, which is These Twisted Bonds. I am reading that one. And yeah, like I said earlier, I'm reading it a little bit slower, but I'm also buddy reading a book with Valia that's really good. So I'm like, I keep setting it aside. I'm like really excited to read the other one that we're reading. So
I know we're finally reading a good book. Anyway, let's not talk about our other buddy read. I am reading. Oh my gosh, what is it? One of Us is. Oh, no, it's called Out of My League, I think it is, and that's actually a spoiler on what we're talking about next week on the podcast.
Oh.
I'm not going to give you the name of no, I'm just kidding. It's Out of My League by Sarah Sutton, I think. I'm almost positive that's the name of the book. It is definitely the author, but she has a bunch of books and like standalone YA series, and I'm excited because I've seen it a lot on TikTok, and I'm like, girl, I'm going to read your books. You do the best teasers. Anyway, that is all I'm going to say about that. But be back next week, because then you'll hear what this entails too. But anyway, yes, please, before you leave, give us a star rating or review. Also, follow us on your favorite podcast platform. We're also now on Amazon Music. So you guys, if that's like a thing that you get with your Prime or whatever, you can listen to us there if that's easier. But yeah, also follow us on Instagram at Reading Queens Pod. We're also on Facebook under the same handle. We are everywhere, and we'd love to talk to you. So just come hang out with us and be back next Wednesday for a new episode. And that is all. Okay,
Bye.